What's up, guys? I figured I haven't done a video in a while, so I figure I'll do a video today. As always, on my way home from work. Eyes on the prize. Hour-long drive. But today I wanted to talk about something close to me, which is automotive repair. More specifically, diagnostic charges. So, if you go online and you read all these forums and you read all these people's comments, everybody's complaining about diagnosis charges and how that's a rip-off and how people shouldn't have to pay diagnosis fees. But I got a question for you. When you go to the doctor, does the doctor charge you for a doctor's visit? He's giving you a diagnosis, right? Yeah. They don't just let you go in there for free. They don't diagnose you for free and then you just walk off and don't have to pay anything. So it's kind of a similar situation. I mean, obviously at repair shops we're, so to speak, car doctors. You know, you bring a car in with a problem, I have to pay a technician to look at the car. That technician has got thousands of dollars of tools that he has to use in order to be able to figure out what's going on with your car. Not to mention the scanner that we have to use as a shop, which have subscriptions for like GM, Ford, Dodge. You have to pay for those subscriptions in order to scan your car to see what's going on with it, to run diagnosis. I mean, they have to have a building in order to have lifts, and a lift in order to lift your car up, which all have had to be paid for. So the notion that diagnosis should be free is kind of outrageous, don't you think? I mean, you're spending all this money to be able to look at a person's car, and then that person expects you to do that diagnosis for free. Well, there's nothing that was free about that diagnosis. I had to pay the tech. I have to pay the utilities for the building. I've had to pay for the building. I had to pay for the equipment. I have to pay for the subscription. You know, all of these things cost time. And if I've got a car on a rack and that car has no money on it and I'm not making no money, that's money being lost on that rack. That's time that I could have been spending on a car that would be making us money. So it absolutely makes no sense for a shop to not charge a diagnosis fee. We have money, raw cost, in a diagnosis fee. So I don't really care about the rebuttals. I don't care about what anybody has to say about that, because I physically run a shop. I know what those costs are, and it costs money for me to look at somebody's car. So yes, you're going to get charged a diagnosis fee. Best analogy, like I said, you go to a doctor's office, he looks at you, guess what? He's going to charge you a visit charge. You're going to get charged for him to diagnose what's wrong with you. So why is it okay for you to pay it at a doctor, but it's not okay for you to pay it at an automotive repair shop? Why is that? I think it's outrageous to assume that a shop should not charge you to diagnose your car. That's just fucked up to even think that. So, I mean, there's nothing free about looking at people's cars. There's raw costs involved with that. So keep that in mind when you go to an automotive repair shop and they charge you a diagnosis fee. Now, some shops like us, if you end up doing the repair, will waive that diagnosis fee. Some shops won't do that. What they won't do is put it on your invoice, but they charge you extra time to make up for it. And honestly, I couldn't blame them, because I know there's raw costs in that, and they have to get it back some way. So just understand that if you go to take your car into a shop, you should expect to have to pay a diagnosis fee. There shouldn't be no discussion about that. That should be expected. And it's because there's raw cost involved for that business. Because if the business did nothing but free diagnosis, they wouldn't be in business. They'd be out of business. And it's unreasonable to expect somebody to, not charge you diagnosis fees. So next time you go, make sure that you understand if you're going to be paying a diagnosis fee.